everyone, it's Nadia from LiaDia Designs and I'm back with another video. So today, well, as you saw in the time lapse, we're working with these new molds. So these molds came from Goldline Artistry and I found them on Instagram, but their website is here and I'll put it in the link in the comments, or sorry, in the description of this video as well. And so I just poured in black resin and I just used acrylic paint, not too much in there, because I find that gives me a nice black kind of a matte. I mean, obviously it's shiny because of resin, but it doesn't have that pearlescent shimmery look because I wanted to just do a flat black on these. So let's go ahead and unmold them. So the cool thing about these molds is that they have a lot of details in them, but they're deeply engraved. So let's take a look. So that's the mold, and there's my coaster, or it could be really used for anything. Could you imagine this being used for like wall tiles or something? It just looks so cool. So anyway, so it has a really nice design. And then what we need to do is I want to fill, I mean, you can definitely leave it as is if you just wanted, you know, just a kind of like a solid color, but I want to fill in these little gaps. So that's what we're going to be doing in our video. So then this one, and this is a bit of an oversized coaster, I guess, if you want to use it as a coaster. So let's get that one out and see the design. It has that really nice arabesque, which you guys know I love. I've been doing ornaments with them this year. And then this is how the coaster turned out. And again, a lot of nice little pockets in here that we can fill in with color. But I mean, you don't have to. Again, you could just leave it like this and they basically are fully usable like this. But I do want to fill them in. All right, so let me get my stuff, my supplies, and I'll be back. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. And what I've done is I want to fill in the lines. So now there's a couple ways you could do this. You could definitely mix up more resin and just kind of, you know, fill in the areas with resin right away, and then it will just cure how it is. I use 1-to-1 resin to like countertop resin in order to pour the coasters. If you try to now put UV resin, you know, on that or in that, there's a chance over time that those are going to separate from each other, like the actual pieces will fall out, because UV resin and 1-to-1 resin, they don't bind together. They actually don't like each other very much from what I hear. So it's probably not best to use UV resin for that. Also, the color of the base might be an issue as well, because I think with UV resin, you have to ensure that you are using like something that's more see-through or clear, like the molds and things like that have to be more transparent for the light to actually penetrate through. So I don't think that would be the best use for this. Like I said, you can just use regular countertop resin. I'm not going to do that too. The other reason why I'm not going to do that is because my resin cures super fast, like within 20 minutes. And I'm really slow when it comes to detailed work like this. So I'd rather not rush myself. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use my DuraClear gloss varnish. And I've picked 2 colors. So I have this gold here, which is been already mixed with some of the varnish. So it's a nice little kind of a paint now. The gold is this one. It's Daniel Baresi's metallic real gold. And it's actually more of a flake, as you can see, than a mica powder. Unfortunately, he closed his website, so we can't get these anymore, but I have them and I love them, so I'm gonna use it. The other color I'm using is this one here, and as you can see, it's like a chameleon color, so it's green, but it also reflects blue. I've used this on some coasters recently, some geo coasters, and they turned out amazing. So I want to try to see how it's going to look on this one, and that's this product here. This is from Let's Resin. This comes in a set, so they have like a chameleon box set, so this comes in the set for that. Okay, so now I'm going to take the color, and I have these little bottles. I'm going to try to see if I can just pour it in here. Okay, So I'll get the little applicator tip there. Hopefully this is big enough. And now I just want to see if I can squeeze it right in there. I have to mix some more with the gloss varnish, but you can kind of see how easy that makes things. Okay, so that's the green. And I can't decide if I want to make those. I think I do want to make those green as well. I think. And again, the good thing with the gloss varnish is I can just quickly kind of wipe those up. And it doesn't really make too much of a mess. So that's looking pretty cool. And as it dries, once it's dry, when you tilt the coaster, that Chameleon pigment's going to reflect kind of green and then blue depending on which way you're turning it. Even now you can kind of see that it's got a mixture of those colors in there. So we did that, and once you're done with that with the gloss varnish, you can just rinse these out with water, because the gloss varnish is just water-based. If you decide to use something like this with resin, it'll be a bit more tricky. You'll have to empty it out, and then I think isopropyl alcohol is your friend to clean these out. But again, you have to do it really quickly, so this way it doesn't start to dry in there for you. For this one here, I'm going to add a bit more of the gloss varnish, because now that we're putting them in the applicator, I need it to be thin enough to go through. So I just added some more there. And then we'll pour that into the other one we have. I hope it's not too thick. Okay, so again, just add that on. And I want to do the gold on these edges, so let's see how this works, or if it works. There we go. It's definitely more difficult because it's thicker. Nope, it doesn't want to come out. Okay, so for the outside edges, I did try putting it in the applicator bottle, as you saw, but it wasn't working. I think the flakes on this are a little bit too big to go through the nozzle of the applicator that I had, so we're just going to brush it in. But if I had a larger applicator, which I probably do, but I don't know where to find it at the moment, so it would have been, it's an older one that I must have stored away somewhere. So I'm just going to use the brush for this. So anyway, so we'll go into another time lapse. And it's a little, this takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit, needs a little bit more precision in terms of getting the paint in the spots, but it'll still work. So let's go into that time lapse and we'll see what it looks like after. Okay, so it's done now. So I'm not going to lift it up just because my hands are all glittered up, but you can see looking pretty. So yeah, so what I like about this, that gold, even though it didn't work in the applicator is that it's super shimmery. So once it's dry, it's going to have a really nice shimmery effect. Now, for this one, technically, if you really wanted to, you could just leave it like this because the pigments are inset, like it's shallow, it's down below. So it's not going to, if you use it as a coaster, it's not going to absorb any of the heat because it's going to be, you know, it's lower in the coaster, so nothing is directly sitting on it. The resin is that's kind of protruding from the top. The design is what the cups and things will sit on, and that is heat resistant, at least the one I'm using. So yeah, so you could leave it like this. I will probably, just fair warning, I probably am going to top coat these with clear, just for, I don't know, for experiment's sake. I mean, we know what it looks like this, so I do want to also show you what it looks like with the top coat. So once it dries, I'm going to give it a couple hours to dry, and then I will top coat it. But we still have one more to do. Okay, so for the second one, what we're going to do is I want to fill it with something. Because again, they're pretty deep, like the little crevices, pockets, whatever you want to call it. They're pretty deep, so you can easily again do the same thing like it did with this one, and just fill it with glitter or something, other colors of resin or whatever. But because these ones are so big, like this one you kind of have to because the details are pretty small. But this one, because they're much bigger, we can get away with more, I think. So what I want to do is I want to use one of these. Now this one here is Sparkle Diamonds, and this is from Laura's Art Corner. And these are new. I haven't actually used them yet, but they're really pretty. And they're actually like little diamonds. I don't know if you can actually see that, but they're actually like little diamond shaped. So yeah, I'm going to use this on another piece, I'm sure. I don't know if it's the right one for this specific, I can't talk today, guys, for this specific one. So I'm going to save this, but I wanted to show you guys because something like this would be great for, you know, like I said, filling in these little pockets. I'm going to use this one. Now, this is just one I found on Amazon, and they're just basically little glass stones. Part of the reason why is because it kind of fits the color theme of what I'm doing over here already. It just adds it a bit more reds and pinks. But this is what it looks like. And I have used this on one of my one piece before, not on YouTube, on some other coasters and a tray that I made. Looks really pretty. I'm actually going to try to use these on some other pieces too, because I just love the rainbow effect. If you're into rainbows, then it's going to be great for that. So for this, what I'm going to do is, the other reason why too I want to use this, because you can tell there's a lot of different sizes in here, which this one doesn't. Like everything is pretty uniform in size, and we do have some different kind of sized pockets in here, so I need to accommodate for that as well. All right, so let me figure out what else I need for this, and then I'll be back to show you. Okay, so I want to show you a little trick that I use in a lot of my pieces when I'm using stones is, or even just like super chunky glitter or things that potentially could leave gaps in things like this, because, you know, the pockets are just, or the pieces might just be a bit too big for some of the little crevices, the little corners. So what I do is I take a little bit of my gloss varnish and I mix it with a little bit of some kind of a glitter. In this case, I'm using Laura's Art Corner. This is her gold stiletto, which is one of my favorite glitters that she carries, as you can tell, because it's almost done. So what I do is I mix a bit of this in with my gloss varnish. And now what that'll do is that will give me, it'll basically fill in any of the spots that I miss with the stones, because you know, once it dries, at least those areas will have something glittery in them. So if you're worried about gaps and things like that, this is a great little trick for that. So, and she has the silver too, but I'm using the gold today. I mean, actually, She has a bunch of different colors. There's some pinks and blues and purples, but they're all beautiful, holographic or iridescent in this case. And like it's a bit of a thick, like it's a chunkier type. It's not chunky because I say like glitter is chunky, but there's just, it's a bit of a bigger glitter then. So it just sits nicely and has a really pretty shine to it. So what we'll do is we're basically just going to put that in. And even just doing something like this is going to be really nice. Like if you just want to put glitter in your coaster and then let that dry, even something like this would look beautiful in there once it dries. Like right now you can't see fully because the gloss varnish has an opacity to it, but it dries clear. So you can actually, so this would be really pretty too. Like if I go like this, just kind of spread it out, you can get an idea of what that would look like. And it would be really pretty. So yeah, so there's an option. Like I said, that's the fun thing about this mold, and actually a bunch of these molds that are from Goldline Artistry, is they have these really cool pockets or little areas where you can just add your own designs or not. Like if you just prefer to not have anything else and just like, just, you know, just enjoy the texture of the fact that there's these pockets in there, that works really well too. So anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and add this in. So what, like I said, what this does is it gives me a base. So now when I put my stones on top, it's actually going to, it's going to fill in all the gaps. So when I add stones, if there's any spots that the stones don't fill, we'll have something there. And it's great if you can actually match it to, you know, same kind of coloring as your stones, so it's not as obvious. But you know, do whatever you want to do. Sometimes if you want to do something contrasting, that could work too. But let me go ahead and get these quickly finished, and then we'll start adding our stones. Okay, so we've finished that. So we've got our glitter in with gloss varnish, and this is I can tell already this would look really pretty if I let it dry. And I may make another one where I just leave it like this, but for this video, let's do this. So I have my spoon, such a pretty spoon. This is from CC DIY. So we'll just take some of this now, and we're just gonna plop it in to each of the little spots. And again, I like using gloss varnish for all this because it lets me kind of mess around with it without feeling rushed by using resin. And I can kind of fiddle, because I tend to do that quite a bit when I'm working on these things. I can kind of adjust it, move things around. And again, I don't feel like I'm racing against the clock to do that. So stick some in there. So yeah, so again, and I really like these little stones. It just, I don't know, they're just pretty rainbowy and they look cute. But you can kind of see already how the stones may not fill every single little spot. So the little piece, the little gloss varnish with the glitter is going to help fill in. It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like the mortar between like mosaic tiles. So this way, you know, it fills in that spot, keeps things together. It looks nice. All right, one more time lapse. Let's do this. All right, there we go. This looks really cool. Actually, this would also look really nice now that I'm looking at it, if I had actually poured the coaster gold or even silver. or even white. There's a bunch of colors that would have looked really nice with this actually, but even with the black, I think it looks nice. It just gives it a lot of definition. So let's see if I can lift this one up. There we go. So it looks really neat. So again, with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it dry, and let's see if I can get them both on here. I'm going to let them dry fully, and then I'm going to top coat them. So that's going to involve, well, for me, you can either tape or liquid latex the back, and then I'm just going to do a full flood coat over the whole thing. So this way everything gets a really nice top coat, so it fills in all these gaps and it gives us a nice level surface. So again, you don't have to do that. With the stones, you probably will want to do that just because they're probably not all fully stuck. I mean, you can go back in and put gloss varnish over the whole thing, like in all the pockets, and that will hold all the stones. But I'm going to feel better if I can actually top coat the whole thing and seal it in. So, all right. So anyways, so that is that. I may add a time lapse for the top coat. I'm not sure. I've done it in so many of my videos, but either way, we'll be back and to see what they look like when they're done. Okay, so we're back, and I have now put on a single top coat onto each of these. The first is pretty much dry, but not 100%. I still have the tape on the back because I'm probably gonna be adding a second top coat, and you'll see why in a second. But so you can just kind of see how it looks though, because this is going to be, I won't have a chance to do the second top coat for the end of the video, but you get an idea of what it looks like with the top coat. So you can see this one here, what it looks like. And if I turn it, you should, if you focus on the green, you should see that it's changing color. It kind of goes from light green to dark green to, there's a little bit of blue in there. Depending on the angle, you can really see it. So it's pretty neat. But yeah, so the top coat looks really nice. It gives it a nice flat surface. Now, in terms of aesthetic, I actually really like what it looked like before before the top coat, with the texture, like 3D effect of the texture on it. I really like that. And so I mean, I like it both ways, but I think that if I was to do it again on any future coasters, I probably would leave it without the top coat, the resin top coat. I would just probably leave it. I mean, maybe it just depends on the pour and how things are looking. I might change my mind, but I just really like that 3D texture and effect that was showing. Now it just kind of flattens it out. I mean, you can kind of tell that it was 3D, but you just don't get the same impact. So I think I probably would do that. And as long as you're using a heat resistant resin for the initial pour, like of the framework, whatever you fill on the inside doesn't really need to be heat resistant because it's not coming up to the surface enough to touch anything that you would actually be placing on your coaster. So I think, yeah, as long as the initial resin that you pour is heat resistant, I think you're fine, because that's what anything that you put on top of it is actually going to be touching. So that was that one. I really like how it turned out. I love the color, the combination, the style. I just really like it. This one here, I need to do the second top coat on this one, and you'll see why. Is because it's textured. Well, it's just bumpy because of the stones. Just like with any kind of chunky glitter, we get a lot of little air pockets that come up during the first top coat. So I just so that's fine. Like for this right now, I would be adding a second top coat, and that would make it perfectly flat and smooth and shiny. Right now you can kind of see all those little spots where little pockets or bumps came up because of the stones and all the air that was being trapped in between there. So like I said, normally for those type of things, I would be doing a second top coat anyway, so that doesn't really bother me. But I don't have enough time before the end of this video to do that because I want to get this video out for you guys. So anyway, but I do again like how this one turned out. I love the stones and the color, the inside of this coaster. But again, and I actually have some footage I took of each of these coasters before I added the top coat, so you can, and I'll play them near the end of the video so you guys can compare them between what it looks like with the top coat and what it looks like without. And I actually really think, personally, I really liked it without the top coat, just because you could see all the texture of the stones a lot better. You know, obviously this looks really pretty. It almost looks like stained glass, and you know, like a stained glass window. It kind of gives that effect, which again, beautiful, love it. So if this is what you prefer in terms of like a smooth finish, you know, once the second top coat goes on, it would definitely be a beautifully smooth finish, and you wouldn't have to worry about stones falling out or anything like that. If I was to leave it without the top coat, I'd probably just go in and either put a drop of resin on each little section, so that would hold all the stones in place, or put more of the gloss varnish so that it would hold everything in place. But yeah, it just looked really neat with the texture of the stones actually kind of showing through, and it had more of a matte finish, which was really nice too. So anyway, it's just totally comes down to preference, but I think both are very nice. So just depends what you like. So anyway, but again, like I said, for this video, I just wanted to show you guys these molds from Goldline, because they are super unique in the fact that they're just so deep. Like the engraving or the pockets in these are so deep that you can actually fill them with things, because normally with most engraved molds you can't. Like they're just very thinly engraved, and you can put paint in it just to kind of get a bit of a design, but to actually have it so deep that you can put stones or, you know, chunky glitter or shells or anything that you want kind of in there, I just think is such a unique and cool idea. So definitely want to show you that. And I'll link her in the description below this video. She has a lot of different molds. I have a few more that I got from her as well, and I'm sure those will pop up in a future video. But for now, I wanted to show these ones just because I thought they were really cool, and they caught my eye like right away when I opened the box. So anyways, guys, I hope you liked this video. And if you did, don't forget to leave me a comment down below, and to like and subscribe and share if you can. I appreciate every one of you and everything that you do to support this channel. There will be some changes coming up in the new year. I haven't quite decided how that's all going to work out yet. It is going to involve Patreon and memberships and a whole bunch of different things. I'm still trying to sort out all the details in terms of how all that's going to work out. But just keep an eye out for that. That's what I'm sorting out this month. And then, yeah, I'll have more details. But there will be a couple more videos before all that, because we have until, I think we have the rest of December before the year ends. So anyways, thank you again. And like I said, if you haven't already, feel free to comment down below. Let me know if you've tried these molds or anything like this and what you think of them. Yeah, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.